Hey guys, thanks for taking the time to watch my video, and a huge happy new year to my friends, family, fellow traders, and investors. So today I really wanted to take a peek at Bitcoin with you guys, kind of look at some of these key levels, make a prediction based on the technicals, technical analysis, highs, lows, and probability of what we think is going to go on in the future, or what may partake in the future. So, first things first, when I'm looking at this chart, I'm always looking at the key levels of highs and lows. So let's just drop for kicks and giggles a high and a low for the prominent long-term, overall resistance and support levels. Make that a little fatter. All right. Now from here you can already start to see a general scheme of what technical analysis is and a general idea of highs and lows and what this thing may do in the future based on these highs and these lows. And let's go ahead and make this one green actually, so we know it's support. All right. From here, I would also look at the short-term trends. So if we grab a trend line as well, we can see in this past week or so, we've got a high here, and I won't make them real large, and a low here. And then we've also got a measured move, we'll say, up and down. So I like to also look at measured moves as far as what the high and the low was. Typically, based on this high and low, we'll see a breakout of that similar size. So, for instance, of this, trend right here, high and low, it had a breakdown of similar size after it broke out. And we'll just do this one real quick, just so you can see what I'm talking about. So this was a high, or no, this was a low. This was a high. It's not perfect. And then we'll say this was the measured move from the bottom to the top. After it breaks out of the trend and confirms down, look at the size of that candle, is the size of this trend. So that's another thing that I like to look at, and all of it goes into probabilities of heights and lows and what people think the previous support was. And as you can see, this just comes down to be previous support. Now, you could also look at it all as a mathematic sequence. Take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and whatever your step forward is, usually your step back, because people aren't going to sell it lower than what other people were buying in. Another thing you can look at is the amount of volume of buying. So obviously here, these are prominent areas where it was skyrocketing up and a lot of volume was taking place, a lot of purchasing. So of those areas, people are going to buy back in when they see those strong areas. So in a sense, it's mathematics. In a sense, it's also, I guess you could say psychology, but it all plays hand in hand to give you a technical analysis. Other than that, after this sandwich trend, we'll say the short-term trend, and we'll remove this real quick just so you're not distracted. We've got the long-term trend, the high versus the low. And we can even, and sometimes I do like to leave this middle trend in here to give us an idea of, we'll take it even a step further and say, we'll put a rectangle in this area and we'll make this a red area. This is an area where you'd want to take your profits real quick because it's not as much of a prominent area of support. And then down here, we could even say a green bar or green box. Which tells us that this is an area of support, or this is an area where we'd want to be accumulating. So this is more for my investors, people who want to buy low and sell high. These are the areas where I'd start accumulating, dollar cost averaging in. You don't have to put all your eggs in one basket, but every time you get paid, put a little chunk into Bitcoin. Not financial advice by any means. I know everybody says that. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know anything about finances. I'm just looking at charts and technical analysis. So don't take anything I say as advice. Definitely do your own research into Bitcoin and any stock or anything. But really, for my people who are already looking at it and kind of giving you my perspective of what I see going on with Bitcoin right now. Then we'll bring this down a little bit. Oh, I don't think we can, but you can see it for the main part. So we'll go ahead and just remove those for now. Next, we can also draw a monthly or a mid-range trend. From here, I would take the top. We'll kind of see where things are touching frequently. And you can see it consistently has this almost topping pattern. So from here, I would draw it to the top of that candle, to this candle. And you can start to already see what we've got going on here. This is what some may refer to as a downward channel. Kind of a situation or an environment where you'd want to take your profits really quick, get in, get out. And then from here, this is where the truth and the big picture really starts to come out. So we can see that, granted, we are having some nice areas of support and resistance, which some may interpret as good and stable for an investment. Gridlock maybe up and just small movements up and down, but not really going down. But when we see this long-term trend, this is where we got to get a little bit suspicious of what may be going on. So here, we'll make that choppy. We'll make this a brighter red color. We can see that this would be an area of resistance. In this area or this situation, environment, I would be cautious as to if this is a fake out. We may see a fake break to the upside and then it comes all the way down. And then if we place this measured move here of the up and down trend all the way to the bottom, we can see that it almost places us perfectly at this overall support level that we laid earlier. So based on technical analysis, at least, it definitely seems that we may see another, what is this candle, 20%? 20 to 30% drop to the downside. Maybe find this upper support or this upper support or this lower support. But we'll have to see what the charts look like. Other than that, another thing I would look at is the weekly and the daily. So at least on the weekly, we can see that we are in a downtrend or an upward trend from a bottom, a lower support level. However, when we pop over to the daily, we can also see that we're starting to get a little bit overbought, we'll say, on the stochastic, the RSI. And looks like MACD might even be starting to curl over. Then we can go to the 4-hour frame. And we can see as well, it's starting to curl over a little bit. Hit a top at the stochastic, hit a top at the RSI, relative strength index. Can't really see too much the MACD. But we can see that it is at the top versus this lower dip. Now, the last thing that I would take into consideration while screening through and looking at Bitcoin, whether you want to make a purchase or start dollar cost averaging, is definitely the overall economic view and the overall economy. So I would say in the long term, with Bitcoin being at a very almost all-time low again, or a very low, especially on the stochastic, the RSI, and the MACD on the monthly. Here is where I personally would start, putting a little chunk in here, putting a little chunk in there, waiting for the time for it to actually pick up. Now, I know there's still a lot of uncertainty about crypto and crypto regulation, so I wouldn't expect this to really go insane too soon until some of those more uncertain things get figured out. As well, taking into consideration, interest rates at 7%, and credit card, if you have an adjustable credit card rate or an adjustable mortgage, we'll say a variable credit card rate, those are all up compared to where they were during 2020 and 2021. So people are out of money. I don't think there's going to be as much retail purchase until we do see some of these extreme lows. Now, a final thing that I do like to take a peek at here and there is if we look at the VIX, the volatility index. This really tells us where volatility sits in the market. And as we can see, if we go to the weekly at least, as the volatility index goes up, we start to see the market sell off. So, for instance, this was 2020, the market started to sell off. This was 2019, the market started to sell off. This was 2018, market started to sell off. And then if we go back to even monthly, let's look at what the 2007 stock market crash looked like, 2007, 2008. So one other thing that we can see is that the VIX is starting to see this upward trend. If we pop onto the daily, had this bottoming, and then higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. So almost the opposite of what we're seeing in Bitcoin, of these lower high, lower lows versus these higher highs, higher lows of VIX. So we'll pop back to Bitcoin real quick. You see this lower lows, higher lows. And then on VIX, we can see higher highs, higher lows. So this overall trend does scare me a little bit when putting money into investments. But if you do look at it that way, like an investment, actually, in dollar cost averaging over the long term, you don't have to be too scared. But in the short term, I would be a little bit cautious when trying to take positions or trade Bitcoin, especially because you definitely don't want to get caught in a fake out on the upside with this slight upward momentum that we have, and then get rejected down really quickly with one of these big red candles. But if you guys do like the video, or you want to see more technical analysis or my idea behind it, I've also got a little test that I do screen these through. Just give me a like, give me a comment, share it, let me know if you want to see more info, and we'll definitely try to pump out some more content like this. But other than that, I appreciate it, and you guys have a great rest of your day.